So next is physical properties of metals and non-metal in the tabular form. So we are going to compare here metals along with non-metal in a tabular form. So first of all, generally metals are solid except mercury, which is present in the liquid form. So all the metals generally are solid, but except mercury. Mercury is what? Liquid form. Then non-metals. Non-metals can be solid, liquid and gas. For example, carbon is solid, bromine is the liquid non-metal, and hydrogen is gas. Some other are also gases here, but liquid is bromine only. So very common question asked from you guys, name the metal which is liquid at room temperature. That is quite common question because बहुत time से चीज पूछी जा रही है. तो all are aware because mercury we can use in the thermometers. But if we talk about non-metals, so this is little bit not everyone is aware about this thing. So you need to be remember this non-metal which is liquid at room temperature, that is bromine. Next is metals are ductile and malleable. Ductile means they can be drawn into wires. उनको wires में convert कर दिया जा सकता है. And malleable, beaten into sheets. Metals can be beaten into sheets. Non-metals are what? Non-ductile and non-malleable, opposite to the metals. Then metals are sonorous. They can produce sounds. So that's why they are using in the electric bells for very high pitch का sound produce करने के लिए. In factories you can hear the sound of that hooters. In colleges, in institutions, high institution, long distance पे रहता है. In that case we are using the electrical bell. In your schools maybe you experience कि जो bell जो ring होता है, after each period you heard a kind of the ring. That is also because of this sonorous effect of the metals, because metal is used in that electric bells. Another is non-metals are non-sonorous. They are not producing any sound. Another is lustrous. So metals we are very aware about the metals क्या है, सारे क्या lustrous है, उनमें क्या shininess रहता है. But non-metals except iodine. So this is again exceptions are very important in chemistry. Non-metal is, in the case of non-metal all are dull, but except iodine. Iodine is what? It means iodine is lustrous. Then high melting and boiling point. Metals are having high melting and boiling point except cesium and gallium. It means they are having low melting and boiling point. Another is lower melting point than metals. Non-metals are also having melting and boiling point, but their melting point is little bit lower than that of metals. Fine. Another case of metal and non-metal difference is generally good conductor of heat and electricity except lead and mercury. So metals are good conductor of heat and electricity because we have done this also in the experimental setup which we have done before this. But two metals which are not that much good conductor of electricity and heat, they are lead and mercury. Fine. And in the case of non-metals are considered to be bad conductor of heat and electricity except graphite. Graphite is a form of carbon which is not a bad conductor of heat and electricity. Fine. Next is high density except sodium and potassium. So dense and metals are solid, means they are dense, but in case of sodium and potassium they are a bit brittle. They are not that much dense. Fine. Another is non-metals. Non-metals are having low densities except diamond. Diamond is hardest substance known. So that is very dense, that's why that is hard. That is the form of carbon again. And metals are highly reactive. In the beginning of this chapter, I have told you metals are highly reactive. That's why they are electropositive in nature also. And non-metals are not very reactive. They are reactive but not very high, we can say. And in case of metals, ionic bonding is present. This bonding in detail we have done, we will be doing in the chapter number 4 when we are doing covalent bonding in carbon. Fine. But now you need to be aware about metals are basically going with the ionic bonding, and in case of non-metals, covalent and hydrogen bonding is present. So that's all about the tabular difference between metal and non-metal, and which is very important.